The AWE Touring System is going to be a premium catback option for the 2018 and newer GT owners out there who want to add just a little bit more volume along with a much deeper tone thanks to the included H-pipe right here. Now, interested GT owners can also look forward to the premium 304 grade stainless steel throughout, along with AWE's drone eliminating 180 technology and chrome tips for around the $1,600 to $1,700 price point. Install will not involve any cutting or permanent modification, so call it a straight up 1 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter here, with a little bit more detail on that later in the video. So even though AWE has been making quality exhaust systems for nearly 2 decades now, their first splash into the domestic market was back with the S550 in 2015, where it quickly became one of the favorites in the category. Now, the American-based company stuck to a simple recipe of a great build quality, great materials, and even better sound with their 2 systems, the Touring, which again we are talking about here today, in addition to their more aggressive track system. Now, full disclosure, I'm a huge fan of the Touring system for 2 big reasons: the volume level and the inclusion of the H-pipe, which gives this system its nice deep tone overall. But going back to the volume level of this system, and again, you're getting just the right amount of bark in my opinion, good enough to come in at a muscular 3 out of 5 on my patented 1 to 5 or 1 to wake the neighbor scale. Not too loud, not too quiet, just right on the money. Inside the car, on the other hand, things remain extremely quiet due to the inclusion of the bullet style resonators you guys see right here, working in conjunction with the Touring Series cans, but more importantly, due to AWE's proprietary 180 technology, which is the main culprit in canceling out any of that annoying drone that can be sometimes problematic with the deeper sounding systems. And speaking of that nice deep tone, let's talk about how the AWE, or the Touring system in particular here, helps tone down some of the raspiness that is present with the Coyote. And again, I come back to the H-pipe here. Now, I would say a majority of the systems in the category, and especially at this price point, are going to utilize an X-pipe, which will only further amplify that rasp, while the H-pipe here, I think, will tend to deliver a little bit more of that classic thumping muscle car tone. Aside from the mid-pipe here, AWE also incorporates a couple of the bullet style resonators to help kind of round out the sound a little bit more while toning things down ever so slightly to make volume levels acceptable for that Touring name. Now, if you like everything about this system in regards to the H-pipe along with the killer build quality, but maybe would prefer a lot more volume, then I would highly recommend checking out the track system from AWE instead, which will eliminate the mufflers altogether, giving you a bunch more volume in the process. But getting back to the Touring system here, let's talk a little bit more about the build quality. And AWE is very adamant about using only the best US sourced 304 grade stainless from tip to tip. That includes the 3-inch mandrel bent tubing, all hand welded right here in the good state of Pennsylvania. Finally guys, everything will exit out of the quad 4-inch tips, double wall, and embossed with that AWE logo. This particular set does feature the chrome tip options, but if you prefer black, AWE does have you covered with their beautiful black diamond options for roughly another $100 on top of this kit. Now, I would say most Mustang owners interested in this kit will probably not have that factory active exhaust system optioned out on the ride. However, if you do and you really dig everything about the AWE Touring system, you can still bolt this thing up to your ride. You would just need to grab AWE's valve motor bracket in order to avoid a check engine light. Now, non-active exhaust owners out there, on the other hand, don't need anything extra whatsoever to get the Touring system in place. As far as your install is concerned, well, nothing too crazy here, guys. Again, a 100% bolt-on job using some very basic hand tools. And to give you a better idea of what's expected, here's a detailed walkthrough along with a tool breakdown.
Now to begin the disassembly of our exhaust, we're going to use a 15mm socket on our impact gun and disconnect the clamps at the front of the exhaust that connect it to the catalytic converter pipes. Now we're just going to loosen up these 4 bolts and the clamps here. This way our entire exhaust will slide right out. Next, using a 13mm socket on our ratchet, we're going to go ahead and disconnect our hangers from the rear of our vehicle. This way we can slide our entire exhaust out as one unit, but we're going to do it with the help of a friend because we actually have our vehicle up on a lift, not down on the ground with jack stands where it would be a little bit easier to do it by yourself. Okay, using our 13mm, we're going to go ahead and take out these 2 bolts here to disconnect our hangers. Next, we're going to move up above the mufflers to get the 2 hangers that are up there. I'll show you those in a minute. Moving back here to the rear, we have 2 bolts that have to come out of each hanger. Now we have one going up from the bottom and one coming in from the side. They still utilize a 13mm socket to remove these. So we're going to go ahead and get these disconnected, and then we'll get the help of our friend to slide our whole exhaust out. Now there's one of these hangers on each side. All right, now we're ready to pull our exhaust out. We're gonna get the help of our other installer, Nick, to give me a hand. And we're just gonna unhook these from the cross member and slide the whole exhaust out as one piece. Now to begin our install, we're gonna go ahead and slide our H-pipe into place. Now this utilizes the factory clamps that come off the back of our catalytic converter pipes. So we're going to use our screw jack to hold it up in place before we get our other piping in. Line them up and slide them in. And for the time being, we are going to leave our clamps loose. This way we can adjust it later on. Now that our H-pipe is installed, we're going to go ahead and get one of our mid pipes. Well, it's a mid to under axle pipe that leads to our muffler. So let's go get one of those and get that installed. All right, next we're gonna go ahead and install one of our mid pipes. Now this has a built-in resonator for it. We're gonna just go ahead and slide this up into place and make sure you have your new supplied clamp on here before you put it in, because then you might have to take your exhaust all back apart just to get this clamp in. Now we utilize our factory rubber hanger from our original exhaust, and we got that in place now. So once we get that up and in there, we can hold this pipe up just using the factory hanger. Now that that's in place, let's go ahead and get the other side in, and we can move on to our mufflers. Now that we have both mid pipes installed, I'm going to go ahead and put our bolts in for our mid pipe hangers. This way they won't move around on us when we're getting our mufflers in. Next up, we're going to go ahead and get our mufflers put into place once again with our new clamp supplied with the kit, and using our factory hanger, we're going to go ahead and get this up into place. Okay, now that we got one of our mufflers in, we still are going to go ahead and leave our clamps loose for now until we get both mufflers in, and we can go ahead and line everything up where we want it. Then we can go back and tighten it all down. Now that we have both mufflers installed, we're going to go ahead now and go back and tighten everything up. All right, next we're gonna go ahead and tighten up our rear hangers. We're just gonna reinstall our factory 13mm bolts, then we'll move on to the installation of our tips. Next, we're gonna go ahead and get the tips installed on our exhaust. Now these ones are our polished tips. We're just gonna slide them up into place. We're gonna put both of them on. Now once you got them lined up where you want them, using our 11mm socket, we're gonna go ahead and tighten them down.
So if you're after one of the deepest sounding systems in the category for that 2018 or newer Mustang GT, then be sure to check out the touring system from AWE right here at AmericanMuscle.com.